So this is Thursday's. Okay, the first one said determine the quadrant in which the xy is located so the conditions are satisfied. So this is x over y is less than 0. That means it would be negative for a division statement to be negative. One has to be positive, one has to be negative, right? That happens in the second quadrant. This would be negative and positive. And in the fourth quadrant, this would be positive and negative. So quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. This is what you did on Thursday. The second one said find the intercepts and the symmetry. So if I want to find the x-intercepts, I plug 0 in for y. I can take out a negative x. I get x plus 3. And then split and solve. And I get x equals 0 and x equals negative 3. So 0, 0, and negative 3, 0 are the x-intercepts. The y-intercept, I would plug 0 in for x. And I would also get that 0, 0. So x-intercepts, y-intercepts. And then it said to find the symmetry. So to find x-axis symmetry, I would plug in a negative y. It's only going to change that 1, so it would fail that test. Then I would do y-axis symmetry. For that, I plug in a negative x. So the negative is still on the outside. Then it's a negative x squared minus 3 times negative x. This negative goes away, but the one on the front would still stay, which means part of my statement changes signs, but not all of it. So it also fails the the y-axis. And then changing both would also fail. So this one has no symmetry. No, because it doesn't change this one, right? So if I change both, I get negative y equals, this is negative x squared, and that's positive 3x. So 2 of the 3 change. This one changes and this one changes, but the middle one does not. So if it was like an x to the third, then they would all change.
If they all change, like if they were all the opposite from the original,
Then it would be yes. It would pass whatever that test is. Yep. All right, this one said, find the standard form of the circle given the characteristics, endpoints of the diameter. So if I found for the center, right, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. I need my hk, which means I need the center. I'm going to add these. Negative 2 plus 4 over 2, and then 3 plus 7 over 2. I get 2 over 2, 10 over 2, 1, 5 is the center. And then I can take either that and either point, plug it in. I could take the 2 endpoints, find the distance, cut it in half. I will tell you that on that last quiz, when you did that, that was the most common mistake made. So I would say probably stay away from that method. Okay, so I would grab that center and I would grab one of the points. Because this one's positive, I would probably have grabbed those two. This is my h, this is my k, this is my x, this is my y. So I get 4 minus 1 squared plus 7 minus 5 squared equals r squared. 3 squared plus 2 squared, 9 plus 4. So my r squared is 13. If it asks for the center, I'd have to square root it, but it doesn't. It wants the actual full equation. So I would do x minus 1 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 13. And there's the standard form. Questions on that one? All right. Then the endpoint, it says find the equation of a line that passes through the given points. So you can either use y equals mx plus b or y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Either way, you've got to find the slope first. So 8 minus 4 over 5 minus a negative 2 becomes 4/7. And then again, you can grab either point. I'm going to grab the second one because they're both positive. Y, this is my x1, y1. Minus 8 equals m is 4/7. X minus 5. Y minus 8 equals, distribute this in, 4/7 x minus 20/7. And then add the 8. So y equals 4/7 x. 8 over 1 becomes 56/7. And it's negative 20 and a positive 56. So this becomes positive 36/7. All right, this one said, find the equation of the line that passes through the given point that are A parallel and B perpendicular to the given line. So again, this is two parts. A is the parallel part, B is the perpendicular part. So from that first line, this equation here, all I want is its slope. Shortcut is negative A over B. So negative 4 over B, which is negative 5, means the slope of that line is 4/5. What would the slope of a line parallel to it be? 4/5. How about the slope of a line perpendicular to it? Negative 5/4. And remember, we are done with that equation. The only thing you want from it is its slope. Then you're going to get the point that they gave you. That's your x1, y1. So y minus 3 equals 4/5. X minus a negative 2 becomes plus 2. Y minus 3 equals, distribute this, 4/5 x plus 8/5, and then subtract, or sorry, add the 3. Y equals 4/5 x, this was 15/5, so this is plus 27/5. No, 23, sorry. That's the parallel one. Then for the perpendicular one, you're using that slope as negative 5/4. So still the same coordinate point, y minus 3 equals negative 5/4. X minus a negative 2 becomes plus 2. Distribute. Negative, this actually goes in here twice. Negative 5/2. And then add the 3. This becomes 6/2, so this is a positive 1/2. Questions on those? Well, this was the 3. There's P1, P2. This wasn't all of it, right? Yeah. I mean, that was on the quiz review from Friday, but this was just 3, 4, and 5. I think this is one you're graphing. Yeah. So just make sure you'd also be able to graph either of these lines, okay? It's going to say graph it on the... So if I'm just going to pick one. But if I was to graph that one, I'd go up to the half mark, and then negative 5/4 is down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you could go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Either way, you want to be able to draw your line. Again, if it said to graph both, I'd graph both, but that was just, I'm just showing an example of what it would look like. Questions on any of that stuff? All right. Then came, this is the solutions for, well, this is the even solutions for the review. So questions on these, I'll go section by section. So P1 was all of your equations, right? So this is the fractional equations. This is your even root property. This is your completing the square, right? Yeah. This is quadratic formula. This is factoring. This is square roots. And it's fractional exponents, like a 2/3 in the top, like that 131. Yeah.
Can you show 114?
Sure. That's here. You want me to work it out?
I can just look at
Okay. So I got everything to one side. Combine your like terms, and then it's factoring by grouping. God bless you. Okay, then P2 is all your inequality stuff. So this is your general inequality, your compound inequality, inequalities with absolute value, okay? These are also ones you're going to graph on your answer sheet. So it might say like find the solution or what, solve the inequality, and you'll answer it on Canvas, and then it will say graph on your inequality, or graph it on the answer sheet. So questions on these. So you have your general, your compound, your absolute value, where you have to figure out if it's an and or an or, and then your quadratic where you're doing your test points. All that stuff was in P2. And then P4 was where we left off on the review we just did. So P4 is the intercepts, the symmetry, and then P5 was all the lines. Questions? This was the one most missed, okay? This says solve the inequality, right? Because it's an inequality, it's going to have, obviously, the one side. Like, if I square both sides of this, to get rid of the inequality, I get 2x minus 6 is less than or equal to 25, okay? And then I keep going. I would add the 6, 31. Divide by 2, it's 31 over 2. But because it's a square root, it has a natural lower bound because it's got a domain restriction. The whatever's underneath that square root has to be greater than 0, right? Or greater than or equal to 0, because it can't be negative. If it's negative, it's an I, you can't do it. So then that's where the other side comes from. This has to be greater than or equal to 0. So 2x would have to be greater than or equal to 6, and x has to be greater than or equal to 3. So that's this side. This should be or equal to, but that's the other side of it. This is an and. It has to be true for both of these. So like if you were to graph these, this would be 3, this would be 31 or 15 and a half, right? This is less than or equal to, so it'd be a bracket going this way. This is greater than or equal to, it'd be a bracket going that way. Listen, guys. So then it's only where they overlap, which is the and statement that falls in between there.
How did you know to change it? Because it was a greater than or equal
To change what? No, the flipping of this sign didn't happen. It's because it's a square root. It can't be negative.
So what's that thing that you have to like change the sign?
That's if you divide or multiply by a negative.
So like when there's an absolute value of inequality, you equal it.
No, bye guys. Have a good day. Wait. Both sides, right? I would square both sides. So that's x would be less than 99, right? That's this part. Less than goes that way. But then because it's a square root, whatever's underneath that root has to be greater than or equal to 0. If it's not, you're square rooting a negative number and it can't happen. So then I would get x has to be greater than or equal to -1. Now I got that side, and that's a bracket. Because it's an and statement. It has to be both.
It's always greater than or equal to. Okay, that makes sense.